18 years with the Cleveland Clinic. Then she spent 4 years at Giaga Rescue Village at Cleveland APL, Animal Protective League. So now you guys know it's Sharon Harvey, the CEO of the Cleveland Animal Protective League. Welcome, Sharon. How are
Thank
you?
Catherine. I'm good.
Are you? Are you really good?
I'm hanging in there. I think everybody
Yeah.
is hanging in there and trying to make the best of this.
The people that you spend your days with, how are they doing?
Yeah, I am always impressed with our team. I think they're terrific every single day, but they absolutely excel at rising to the occasion and, taking on crazy situations and turning lemons into lemonade. And I can't even tell you how important it is to be surrounded by people like that. I think we're all having our days where it's a little more lemons than lemonade, but I have seen just an incredible ability to rally and keep each other positive and really look for ways to approach this creatively.
How are you communicating with your staff? How are you connecting with them right now?
I have to say, I think that's one of the things I'm struggling with the most right now. At this time, I am mostly working from home. It's something I don't feel incredibly comfortable with all the time, but I know it was my team that actually encouraged me to do that when we looked at the need to divide leadership and to really make sure there were some folks away from things who were, in the event others got sick, were going to be able to step up. What you didn't share is I also spent a couple of years at the Coast Guard Academy. So I really am a captain goes down with the ship kind of gal.
Yes, you
and,
are.
And
So
I'm feeling my ship's in Cleveland and I'm here. But I think the technology we're using now, just through Zoom meetings and trying to stay in touch. We do an all-staff Zoom meeting on Thursdays at 10 o'clock and get everybody who is scheduled to work that day logged on so that they can see faces and we can talk to each other and not only provide updates, but moral support. And then doing the best we can every other day to just stay in touch with my direct reports and then they're doing a super job keeping their folks informed. So it's a little uncomfortable for those of us who are used to communicating very directly. To be doing it for this long has been unusual, but I think we're adapting. We did a large adoption promotion before any of these tight restrictions started coming down, and we moved a lot of animals out of our building that weekend to new homes, to permanent placements, and then started lining up existing foster homes to start being prepared to accept animals into foster. So we are now down, usually around that time of year, we're sitting at 200 to 300 animals in our shelter, and we are down to 15 animals available for adoption. That could be placed, and then about another dozen or so that are not ready and have to be cared for there. As a result of this, one of the things I'm very hopeful about and positive about is that because we've been forced to innovate to a certain extent, that we may, when we're done just trying to put out fires and get from day to day, that when we get closer to the end of this, that we're going to potentially have a whole new paradigm for how shelters work and animal welfare works, and that may shift us out of the way we've been doing it for so many years. I think we've been making a gradual shift over the years, but this could lead us to a much greater advancement in how we move forward. I mean, I think we're testing assumptions that we've had for years, much like we all had assumptions about whether open adoptions were a good idea or managed admissions a good idea. And our feelings about those are all based on experiences from the past and some of those deeply held beliefs. And we've now been forced to look at things differently. And hopefully some of this is going to stick. I mean, we are looking at doing much more virtually, at doing much more curbside, and we're as many are doing, trying to deliver as much as we can to some of the especially needy folks in Cleveland and those that have been directly impacted by COVID-19. You know, we have been in Ohio, I think our governor and state health director were among the first to implore veterinarians to stop doing elective surgeries. And it's still at this time, to the best of my knowledge, unless it's changed in the last 10 minutes, is not an order, but they re-emphasized it today during the governor's press conference. And so we've had to look differently at whether or not we're going to place unsterilized animals and move them forward into homes, and how we will best accomplish that.
It's just sort of the calm before the storm. It feels like that's what I feel like. Do you feel that that is what your team is feeling right now?
Absolutely. I think somebody sent me a meme the other day that's just, it's from, oh, I can't think of the name of the show, but it really popular sitcom, where it's just, he's throwing up a bunch of papers into the air, and the papers are all just, and it's like, this is us every hour. It's everything we worked on. Poof, just throw it away.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, it's just overwhelming, the changes, the uncertainty, and even the mixed messages coming down, from the government is how long is this going to last? How long is it not going to last? And I think that is impacting all of us, whether you're in leadership or you're a frontline staff member, just worried about all of this plus getting by, and your next paycheck. And I know for us, the initial focus was on figuring out what we had to do operationally. We knew that for a period of time, we were going to be able to sustain a decent level of staffing. But now, as this goes on longer, we are starting to have to look at what that next phase is going to be, and are making those plans. And of course, that's not a great, when things are already so uncertain, that's very difficult. To know that you can't give your team absolute answers about everything yet. You're under, by its letter and then some. I don't think we can be criticized right now, responsibly anyway, for being ultra conservative with how we're protecting our teams and our community.
Speaking of your teams, have you had any employees who have been adversely affected yet? Are you experiencing that, and just from a staff morale standpoint?
We so far have been fortunate. We have some team members affected by the school closings. Ohio was also one of the first states to shut down schools across the state. So we've had some employees impacted by that, but we've been able to work through that with them. We've had a couple of employees that have been either on self-quarantine or have been asked to isolate and quarantine by their doctors because of other medical conditions. And a couple we've asked to stay home because they were sick. So far, we have not had anybody who has informed us that they were directly exposed or has had a test and has tested positive. So, but I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there about, it's just a matter of time, right? So.
Yeah. Just being with friends. What's that thing that you miss and can't wait to do once we kind of get back to a more normal life?
Well, I mean, I think it's all of that, but I really can't wait to get back to work and get back to seeing this team of people. That I think when you're not there all the time, I think a lot of us, I mean, I think those of us in leadership, it's my sincere hope that we all are passionate about our jobs and love our jobs. And yet, if you're honest, would say, boy, I wish I had a little bit more downtime and self-care time. I'm now really tired. I think I'm in day, not including the weekend, 4 of this. I'm done. So I just really want to get back to seeing these people. Their work inspires me and helps keep me going forward. So not having that direct connection has been really difficult because I am passionate about the work.
Well, and I imagine your team really adores you, and just having you there at this shelter is probably such a wonderful, calming presence. And so I understand that this virtual communication is not as enjoyable, but I love that we're trying new things so that you can connect with your team. I think that we need to see Benny a little more up close and personal. So But yeah, so I think I want to say goodbye by offering, what advice do you have to your friends and colleagues in terms of self-care, and how are you taking care of yourself?
Well, I think I need to start doing a little bit better job of that. I had committed to trying to get out in the middle of the day for an hour with Benny to just get some fresh air, and I haven't been successful at doing that yet. So that's still on my list of goals. But I do think we really have to figure out when we're going to pause a little bit and take care of ourselves and keep laughing. I try to find things that are I think it's hard. I would never want anybody to think I'm making light of this situation, and yet I do think we need to keep finding ways to laugh about it because one day we'll look back and
One day,
definitely be
one
able to
day.
see some humor, hopefully. But
I,
yeah,
I certainly hope so. And I hope, Sharon, since you and I have been friends for well over a decade, I um I hope that one day you and I are laughing about this and maybe doing a presentation together about how we made it through. So just thank you for your time today and your spirit and your really your vulnerability and sharing your thoughts about this. This is tough and we're all in this together. And I'm just really grateful that you're willing to share your voice and your time with us. So we hope we'll keep talking with you, and tell your team that we're all thinking of them as we're thinking of each other across the country. And if anybody needs support or help, let's reach out to each other because we're in this together. So
well,
Benny, have a good night. Benny, don't fight with Eddie too much. Eddie spaghetti.
Eddie alone. That's right. Eddie's about two breaths shy of being a stuffed toy, so he has no idea what's going on.
Aw. All right.
So,
Well, Sharon,
but
thank you.
thanks
Thank you
for doing
so
this,
much.
Catherine, to you and the association. And I do think this is critical: is seeing each other face to face and supporting each other. We're a great community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We'll talk soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.